Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. Welcome to another wonderful Wednesday edition of Conversations for Humanity here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And we're so humbled and honored that you guys are going to be here with us for a great and engaging conversation to hear another awesome story from one of our great and awesome community members here at Bringing Humanity Together. So, again, I'm so humbled and honored to be with you guys here again today. So, again, welcome everyone to the Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it's our goal, our mission, our passion, our purpose, and I dare say our calling here at Bringing Humanity Together to create environments that people will love, not only in those workplaces, but also in our very communities, because we see how interconnected they really are. And we're dead set on doing that very same thing with employees and employers to truly bring that humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for all our calls. Tuesday to Thursdays at 2:45 to 4 o'clock Eastern, and then on Fridays and Mondays, it's going to be at 3 o'clock East. On Mondays, it will be done through via Google Meet, and then on Fridays, it's our LinkedIn audio call. So if you'd like to be able to join those calls, please don't hesitate to send a message to me, and I get you the details for that. And how it works when it comes to the LinkedIn audio call, I usually post them on Wednesdays, but over the weekend I post the live streams and the Google Meet call on the weekends and that kind of thing. Or sometimes the Google Meet call I'll post on Monday. So it just depends how things fall and everything like that. But if you'd like to be a part of that, just like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to me and message me, and I will get you the details quick as we can. So again, we're going to have a great and engaging conversation lined up for you today. I'm waiting on our guests to show up so they can share their story with you guys today. So that's why I jumped on a little early and everything like that. But most importantly, though, how are you guys doing today on Wonderful Wednesday? How things shaping up for you? You guys getting ready for Christmas? How Saint Nick looking like for the holidays and everything like that? So here is our special guest today who will be sharing his story on Conversations for Humanity, Mr. Jimmy Clare. Hello, Jimmy.
Hello.
How are you doing today on Wonderful Wednesday?
Been super busy.
Between school, Crazy Fitness Guy website, all those other things, you just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, I'm like a robot.
But we're not robots. We're human beings, not human robots.
Yet.
That is true. That is true. So we're so thankful and honored that you are here today. How things been shaping up with you, especially, and I've not talked to you in a while. So, how was your Thanksgiving? What did you guys do?
Me and my parents uh, were at my house. My brother came home, and uh, and my aunt and uncle from New Jersey came. But that was pretty much it. Uh, we usually had in the past we had big family Thanksgivings, but it was only six of us this year, which felt weird.
Wow. So, it was a pretty much a low key family affair.
Yeah, but Christmas should be back to being bigger.
All right. Very good. Very good. Very good. Like I said, my Thanksgiving for me was pretty low key myself. I stayed home with my wife on actual Thanksgiving. We just went to pick up Bob Evans, and that was pretty much it. But then we went to our mother in law's over the weekend, and we actually spent some time with her and everything like that because we had to end up turning right back around and go to work on Friday and everything like that. So that's the way Thanksgiving planned out. So I see we have Miss Carla here. Hello, Carla.
Hey, Jimmy, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm driving. Had just left my dad's house, so I'm heading home. So I'm listening.
All right,
What have you been
very
up
good.
to?
Been busy with school, been busy with work, been busy with pretty much everything.
Yeah. Sounds like you had a good Thanksgiving, although it was quiet. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, though I like though I like busy holidays. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, you can make fun with a small group too.
It's so fun, though it made me sad when when the New York Giants lost to the Lions out of all the teams to lose to. I'm like, oh come on, and of course my uncle in Chicago, he's a big Detroit Lions fan, and I'm like, oh come on, it's like they'd lose to you. It's like oh. And last weekend they just tied with Washington Commanders football team. It's like, oh, that's gross. A tie might as well just be a loss. Doesn't improve their score. Doesn't help their score at all. It just should be a win or a loss, in my opinion.
Okay, you have to enlighten me on football. Is the Washington Commanders used to be the Washington Redskins?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, because I'm like, I didn't know Washington State had a football team, and then I'm going, wait a minute, that's Washington D.C.
Yeah, and and technically, I mean, they never really had a good football team, until somehow this year they have a pretty good year so far, but and they just tied with the Giants last Sunday, and I was like, that's disgusting. And like, I mean,
I
it's great to see two teams play very well, but it's like it doesn't prove anything in their records or whatnot. It just shows up as a tie, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even realize they had changed their names. That's how much professional football I follow.
Football's not for everyone.
I like college football.
Uh, I like it a little bit. I'm not big. I'm more of a college basketball fan and a professional football fan. The college one is kind of gets boring after a while for me, uh, only because my parents usually watch Indiana's football team, and they always seem to have a big losing streak. So
Hmm.
it's like, that's not cool.
So where are you located? I can't remember.
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Are you near Philadelphia or Pittsburgh?
Uh, I'm outside of Philadelphia, so like 20, 30 minutes ish, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 20
Okay.
minutes, I think.
So you're actually in Pennsylvania, not in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Most of the people I know that say that they're from Philly actually live in New Jersey.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Or they say, "Oh, I'm from the New York area," and I'm like, "Okay, do you live actually in the state of New York, or do you live in New Jersey?" "Oh, I live in New Jersey." Okay.
It's kind of a big difference.
Well, yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of people that say they live in the greater Philadelphia area and they live in New Jersey or they live in Pennsylvania. Same thing for New York.
Yeah. I like to say just Pennsylvania, and like I'm in the heart of it all. Uh, uh, I'm not.
How's how's school going?
It's been a kind of a tough semester this semester, uh, because let's just say I'm video production is not my strong suit, and right now I have a C plus in the course, even though I showed up for every single class,
Uh huh.
uh, and I'm like, these numbers do not add up correctly.
What kind of course are you taking?
That's a video production class.
Oh,
And
okay, fun, fun.
yeah, it was fun up until I get dinged for nook and crannies, and I don't really feel like I'm not becoming Steven Spielberg in 15 weeks. Sorry.
When is your finals? Are they next week?
It's well, luckily for my two classes, there's no finals. It just the final. I just finished up my final project in well, part of my final project in my public speaking class, and I finished my final project in uh, video production. And my last class for video production is tomorrow, and my public speaking class is finished on Friday.
Oh, okay. Then you'll have a break until January, huh?
Yeah, January 18th, which is kind of strange because it used to be January 20th. I'm like, really? You're cutting 2 days off of my break? That's not cool.
I remember when I was in school, we would start about the 12th. So consider yourself lucky.
Fine, I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like
That's
New
all.
Year's just over. I want more time, you know.
Yeah.
But when will you be done?
Well, once I finish my associate's degree, I think I'd be finished in probably like another 2 or 3 semesters,
Oh, okay.
and then I'm going to go on to my bachelor's because if I stop, I know I won't continue.
Yeah. What are you getting your degree in?
Media studies,
Oh,
which
cool.
lead me to well, my career as a motivational speaker
Mhm.
or a broadcaster of some sort, or author or an editor or publisher, etc. So I have many different paths I could go down to,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and technically I'm living one of the paths, just uh, not making consistent income off of it at the moment, but hopefully that's turning around soon.
It'll all work out.
I
Yes, it
believe so.
will. So, Carla, how was Dad today?
I'll talk to you about it later.
All right, very good. But for all in all, he's in good spirits today.
Pretty good.
All right, very good, very good, very good. All right, that is awesome to hear. Uh, so Jimmy, we're so like I said, so humble and honored that you wanted to come share your story here on Conversations for Humanity. So it's almost about that time for you to come share because we give you the whole hour. So Jimmy, I will turn it over to you. Come share your story. We would love to hear how Jimmy Clare became the crazy fitness guy and how that journey started. So the floor is yours there, Jimmy.
Thank you. So basically, how it began when I was really young, just about right when I was born. My my parents were told uh, I wouldn't be able to walk without braces or crutches. I have neither. My parent, uh, a lot of people put limitations on me. For example, and that is one example. The other example they told me I wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to read higher than a second grade level due to being autistic, even though I consider myself a very smart individual, even though I might take me 100 plus questions to understand uh, the the goal or the assignment clearly enough. And so, but before I fast forward to that, my but there was just a lot of people who set these limits on me, and I literally could have gave in and gave up and whatnot. But I always say, and my parents agree, that it's kind of fun to prove people wrong. And not that I seek out to prove people wrong all the time, but for those people who set those limits on me, I thought, hey, these guys I could have just gave up since the beginning, but I was like, these guys don't even know me, and they always think, oh well, Jimmy can't do this because he's autistic. And they gave me a long running list of things that I wouldn't be able to do. And so, so eventually I decided, so my parents got me into physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. And when I was reaching my milestones at a certain age, my parents got that help for me. And one way that I started to learn how to walk was when I think my dad took me and my parents and my brother on a work trip with them, and I I saw a person selling ice cream, and when I first started walking was when I when I saw the person was selling ice cream, and so I wanted ice cream. And and it's funny to hear my parents say later on in life, and it's like all you wanted was ice cream, and it's like, hey, and it's like everyone has their motivation, and it was uh, and it was great, and I like that story. My parents told me, and then I wasn't talking at the certain age growing up where everyone else was talking, and I basically pointed at every object, and I thought I was pretty smart back then, and still smart, but I thought it was pretty clever. And it's like, well, since no one's hearing me what I'm saying, uh, as far as I know, because nothing came out except for ba, like I was a sheep. I pointed at every little object, and my parents knew what I needed or wanted. And my parents were extremely worried
Wow.
that I wouldn't be able to talk growing up. And so my parents, uh, so my mom's friend's husband, uh, when she was taking him to chemotherapy years ago when he was alive, he said he said to my my mom that day, I was like, "Don't worry about Jimmy not ever talking, because one day he'll never shut up." And she, he was totally right, because I haven't shut up ever since. And and later, and then what's and and it's like he kind of predicted the future in his own way. And then, so fast forward, I also, growing up, I also had problems with hearing in my right ear because I was deaf, and I basically, in total I had 9 ear surgeries. Not, it started with three when I was, I mean, started with ear surgeries when I was younger to remove a cholesteatoma. Then it went, and then, uh, but then I get over to the other six later on, and and in elementary school, I was bullied a lot. It started with just asking questions I didn't have answers to kicking the seat on the bus, which got extremely annoying. And since I know I didn't have much patience back then, as I do now, and my parents still says I don't have patience, but there's still certain things that I have patience with, and there's some things that I still need to work on. And I admit that, and that there's certain things I really don't have any patience for. But then in the but then the other and then in middle school it became a kind of a war zone for me. And the reason why I said war zone is because uh, even though I'm autistic, and I had those 3 ear surgeries, and I started getting bullied, and elementary school by two diff, well, four different people so far, and I didn't reach my milestones. I also live with spinal stenosis, which makes it hard for me to move my neck left and right, up and down, and you know it's kind of odd to drive a car sometimes, to feel like, oh gee, hopefully I can turn around to see people, all my blind spots and whatnot, and and because it's always a concern for me driving when I'm driving, and luckily I have a mirror that is one of those big mirrors that takes out the blind spots. I'm not sure why they don't just have those default in the car, because they always like, oh, we're gonna make cars much more safer, but you still have this puny little stupid little mirrors that don't do anything and don't help you. So there, go get the bigger ones. Uh, make them built in. There's a new that should be like a new standard safety law. And and so basically after so so but the reason I became dangerous in middle school is because the bully stuff. There was this kind of sick game in my in, who someone who created in middle school, and it was a neck slapping game, and I don't know the rules of it, and it was really, really stupid and dangerous for everyone, technically everyone, because the neck is a very, very uh, important part of the body that is attached to everything, and if somebody gets that damage, well, that person's screwed. So, but there's one principal. I called him, well, in my own brain, I called him Mr. Wacko, because it took him 100+ times to realize that this was a very dangerous concern for me and my parents and whatnot. And he was like, "There's no such thing as bullying around here." And I'm like, "What pipe are you smoking?" And it's like, clearly, if you left your 2 by 2 foot office, and it's like, you might see it. And but he didn't believe me. He didn't take my word on it. So then I went to uh, my seventh grade special education teacher, and I didn't know how to ask for help in the most appropriate way. And let me just jump backwards real quick for a second, because I kind of glanced over something that will tie into this. And in elementary school, when I was having problems with these bullies, and my schedules were getting messed up, and by schedules getting messed up, I had a school who was kind of, well, the school district was kind of new to special education, and basically what did they took me out of the bigger classroom to take me out into the special education classroom, and I was also in the social group that my parents had me attend, or maybe it was my school that made me attend, to help me interact with others. I thought I was doing a good job on my own, but apparently I needed more help, I guess. I'm not quite clear. But they put me in the. But what was annoying about this group was, and I mean, the group was helpful, but what was annoying, it didn't meet consistently on consistent days. Sometimes they meet every week, sometimes it was every 2 weeks, sometimes it was every other month, sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's 3 months. And my my mom wrote to the school many times saying, "Hey, if you want Jimmy to participate, like understand what's going on, you have to notify him of what's going on." and interact with them. And it seemed like they didn't get through their thick skulls. Well, I mean, this is me looking back at it now. Back then, I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Everything is all over the place. And they just, uh, they, they wrote to my parents and saying, we don't know why Jimmy's not participating and whatnot. And they were, they didn't know why I wasn't cooperating with them. And, and so one day I just kind of lost it. And and this was like when I was 8 years old, I believe I was at the time, and I threw a pencil across the room, and I got suspended for that, and and it wasn't aimed at anyone. It didn't hit anyone. I think it hit a bookcase, and I knocked over some desks. But I was like, what kid doesn't make a mess and knock over a desk or two and throw a pencil in their life? And I'm like, I'm not downplaying it, but and I get it was upsetting to everyone. It was upsetting to me too, but I was also upset because people were taking me out of places that, and I'm not even sure where I'm going half of the time, and it wasn't even consistent. So it wasn't even in my schedule anywhere. So I was like, well, and so my teacher even agreed with my parents, even sided with me. It's like I would be upset too. Everybody's trying to work in with me in one classroom, so it's like, who do I listen to? This person, this person, this person, or this person? And I'm like, there's too many people to listen to. I don't know what's going on. So fast forward, uh, in middle school, I didn't know how to ask for help with these bullies. So I started because one of the bullies was on my bus on, going on the way home from school. I started skipping taking the bus home. I made up every single excuse to not take the bus home. Now I lived less than 5 minutes away from my house, about like 2 minutes, you could say, like right down the street from my school, and and I know somebody could say, you were lazy, you just couldn't walk. Well, I was like only 8 years old at the time, and my parents didn't want me just to walk home by myself because what if a van comes along and tries to pick me up or something, and and plus I didn't really have a good sense of direction back then, to be honest. So I couldn't tell you how to get from point A to point B, etc. So and so that's why I took the bus, or I walked with a friend, or I walked with my brother. But I didn't couldn't walk by myself. So, uh, but so one of my excuses I came up with was, oh my, when my seventh grade teacher asked me, Jimmy, you missed the bus? And it's like, yeah, I missed the bus because I needed I had to talk with my other teacher. I think she kind of bought it the first time, kind of, because eventually, because, and the reason I say kind of is because she eventually followed up with that teacher, and and that teacher said, no, I did not talk to Jimmy at all. And I say, oh, she's on to me, because the next time when I missed the bus, she basically sat me down and was like, I'm not letting you call your parents and call your mom to pick you up until you tell me what's going on. And and I was like so hesitant. I was like, do I tell her the truth and will she believe me, or do I not? Or do I come up with some other kind of crazy story? So I decided to go with the let's go tell her what's happening. And I told her everything from everything that happened to um, Mr. Wacko's principal, who just who was absolutely annoying to uh, uh, who who didn't listen and who didn't seem to care one way or another of where I of uh, of helping me to get rid of these bullies and stop the bullying. And she so she came up with this. She even talked to that principal. He still didn't listen, and this is an assistant principal. This wasn't the head principal because the head principal, well, she eventually started doing stuff and got him on board. But and it's just kind of sad for the assistant principal. He can like getting bossed around by the head principal on a matter of bullying, and he's like, "You're not taking his word for it, or even a teacher's word for it." And it's like that's pretty bad. So, so basically, uh, she came up with an idea for me, and my mom agreed with this too. That she would pick me up uh, at the school every single day because I can no longer take the bus. So we just got into the routine doing that, and and then what was kind of cool, uh, because sometimes my friends weren't at school, and uh, and so I sometimes had to eat lunch by myself, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. Uh, I set up times where I could play basketball in the gym after lunch with my gym teacher because I didn't want to be near the bullies at all. And then and if my gym teacher was busy during that after I finished eating, this was only when my friends weren't there to have lunch with, or uh, uh, I would leave to go to class early and read the Harry Potter series all through seventh grade, and she she let me come in to class early and says like, Jimmy, you can come in as long as and even if I have other teachers here, you can come in, read and that's it. And it's like, and it's like, just so you can avoid the bullies. And so that worked, but they kept on at it until finally the principal stepped in. Fast forward a little bit more. In high school, I got bullied another by three other bullies, and they were all different as well. And they called me names. They told me I was retarded. And even though I'm not slow, I just have a lot of thoughts in my head, and I can always combine sometimes it's hard for me to all the join a sentence together right off the bat. And so that, and I was like nearly obese for my age group back then because I found comfort in food, and I was around the 180-ish mark, which I think was obese for my age group back then, around obese or on the borderline of it. And they, and so basically, after all of that, they told me I got so fed up that in 11th grade, I finally took a stand to the bullies, and I lost the 30 pounds of uh, that I needed to lose with P90X, which is a 90-day workout program from Beachbody. And I decided to, and once I lost that weight, I felt good. I I stood up in my math class against the bullies, and the reason why, and this was towards the end of math class, so I wasn't like disrupting the whole class, but I got very pissed off one too many times. And the reason I say that I got pissed off was because my friend who happened to be in a wheelchair, she was she bumped the her wheelchair. She had one of those joystick wheelchairs, the electric ones, into the frame of the door, and the frames were like this big. And then it's like, how's this funny? And it's like, it's not funny at all. And it's like, I'd like to see one of them ride around in one of those things. I mean, not that I was wishing upon them, but I was like, I like to see them drive one of those things because I know I couldn't control one of those things. It's not easy to fit through. It's not like it's a full blown steering wheel, just this one little stick to move. I even played a video game with it years ago with a joystick. It was absolutely a nightmare. And so so once they kept on teasing her and whatnot, my my math teacher said, "Knock it off," and I was like, and I felt sorry for about what I'm going to say about my math teacher, but it's like I want to say I want to say it to him. It's like, how many times have you told them that to knock it off throughout the years? And it's like they haven't done that very well, have they? Well, they're not going to listen to you now, and they haven't yet. So I finally took the matter in my own hand, and I wanted proof and witnesses. So it wasn't a that person said that person said this, that person said that. I want proof that everyone would hear that day. And I went to the bullies up into their face during near the end of the class, and I said every nasty word in the book to them. I probably shouldn't have said every nasty word, but I could tell that they had the fear of fright in their eyes. And and one of the bullies just tried to do one more time, uh, and uh, one of them tried to do something one more time. And when I went right down to the principal's office and reported that person. I finally found out that he gets expelled, and a few days later, the head principal who was in middle school uh, went to she also transferred over high school, and was she gave me an award for standing up for myself, and I asked her, I was like, "Am I in trouble for saying every bad word in the book?" And she's like, "Don't sweat it." And it's like if your math teacher has a problem, tell him to come talk to me. But unfortunately, that's not where my bullying story ends, because in 12th grade, I had an English teacher who was there one too many years, and the reason I say that, because she was also a special education teacher, and but uh, uh, she was just like the most unhappy, most frustrating person you could ever deal with, and I'll admit that I probably shouldn't say half of the things I'm going to tell you that to her, but she pushed every single one of my buttons, and after literally just standing up to the bullies in ninth grade, I mean, in 11th grade, I just couldn't take one more person just being exactly the same way as it's like the three of these students who were bullied me just merged into one big bully, and it's like, oh, wonderful. And it's like, so this person, she remind I don't know if you're ever familiar with the show Two and a Half Men, where it's Charlie Sheen. I like this one quote where where he said, just keep driving until you see the gates of hell. And every single time when I went to English class, I was like, "Welcome to the gates of hell," because it was literally like the gates of hell. And and she had the red hair to boot as well. So, and there was, and she didn't like that I said that, but she called me lazy even though I was getting straight A's, and it's like, how does that make me lazy? I mean, like if I'm getting straight A's, how does that make me lazy? I'm not really sure. That doesn't add up. And and what also frustrated me with this person, she there was one homework assignment where I couldn't answer this one question out of, let's say, 20. So there's uh, I got 19 out of 20 uh, questions, and she made me and I looked in the first part of the book, the middle part of the book, the third part of the book. The answer's not in there, and it wasn't one of those opinionated questions. It was. She said that this question was in the answer was in the book, and so I had a one-on-one helper pretty much all the way up until high school until 12th grade, 12th grade until I said I didn't need one anymore, and because I had to share one with somebody else, but but where I got annoyed at her where when I didn't have any homework to do, I like to go to the library and read or read my library book and continue to, I love reading, and she made so when I wasn't doing anything in my study hall, she came in because her classroom was like a few feet down from her classroom, and it's like, Jimmy, you're not working on anything, and it's like, I'm already finished, and and she's like, no, you're not. You're missing one of that. You're missing that one question, and it's like, I know it because it's not in the book. She's like, yes, it is. How do you think I got the question? She made me watch her flip page per page per page and used up my whole study hall. And she's like, Jimmy, you're right. It's not in the book. And I'm like, no, you think, Captain Obvious? I just made it all up. And and so it got me frustrated as like, you were in my study hall and like you call me lazy, and it's like, and you have a trick question that wasn't even in the book, and I can't even answer. So, but if that wasn't enough, she decided to, uh, and this is when it got closer near graduation time. Uh, my this is where my ninth ear surgery came in because I got tired wearing a hearing aid. Uh, because I had one that always whistles every time when it was waxy and whatnot, and it's like, this is so annoying, and and, and so I asked my doctor. I was like, is there a way that I could get another surgery to help me get rid of this hearing aid? And he said to me, "I was like, yes." I was like, "There's a new device that will not move, a titanium device that will not move in your right ear, but connect to both sides of the uh, canal so it won't move." And I was like, "That's pretty cool." And I was nervous because I was like, "Oh, I'm going to miss a boatload of school." I think I missed around like 3 or 4 weeks of school, and I knew how much homework my 12th grade English teacher was going to give me. So so I went to the head principal and asked her, since we had, let's say, a history together, good and bad, and I don't think she took anything that I said to her in the past as I didn't think she hold any grudges against me because she saw me mature over the time, and she said, so I told her my conundrum, and she said to me, "Yeah, it's like, yeah, I bet your teachers will be more than willing to excuse you from the work so you can graduate on time because she knew I didn't want to stay or miss graduation. And I said to her, I was like, yeah, probably half of my teachers, but I know she won't be happy when to see it. And she's like, well, just keep me in the loop what you decide, and we'll go from there. So I got all my teacher signatures except for hers, and getting her to sign it was like pulling teeth, literally. She's like, I can't believe I'm gonna, yet you're gonna get excused from all this work, and it's like. To me, that's just a waste of time. And it's like, what are you gonna do for 4 weeks? Just playing video games and watching TV? And it's like, well, you don't, it's like don't make it sound too fun. It's like I'm gonna be in pain most of the time. Uh, it's like I'm doing 3 surgeries in one day. Uh, I was getting 2 moles removed, 6 wisdom teeth pulled, and on top of that, my ninth year surgery. It's like I'm pretty certain that that doesn't qualify as fun. and 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 so when she said I'm not going to sign this, and it's like, well, we can go down to the principal's office to let her know that you're not going to sign it. She's like, here, sign, and it's like, here, fine, I'll sign it. And she didn't like it that I used that against her. And then finally, I eventually reported her to the head principal and told her about what she's been doing, calling me lazy, and 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 because I did that, I also, let's say I got myself blacklisted on the uh, uh, what's the high school counselors list because she's like, you should came to me for that problem, and I said, and my middle school counselors were more helpful than the high school ones, and not bashing the high school ones, but their position was helping pick electives, and if you're ready to graduate, maybe look at colleges, etc. But but the but they could barely give you a time and day listening to someone's problems. So I always went to the principals and it's like, well, how about the principals since they could do more than the guidance counselors? And so when I went to, she was very pissed off at me. It's like, you should came to me, and it's like I would have done something. And it's like, yeah, right. I was like, and I even said that to her phrase. She was like, oh, I'm going to tell the principal on you. And it's like, go right ahead. And I was like, I don't care at this point because I only had like 3 or 4, maybe 5 weeks left until graduation. So I was like, do your worst. I don't give a crap anymore. And you guys are like, I just wanted the heck out of there. And so basically, I finally, and what really shocked me was when she told the head principal at in high school about what I said to her. My head principal just like shoot her away. It's like I don't want to hear it, and it's like because like when I told her about my 12th grade teacher, that was more important than what I said to my guidance counselor at the time, where she wasn't going to do anything about it anyway. And she and she said to me, and I quote, Jimmy, I apologize on the behalf of me and the school that your teacher's calling you lazy, even though you have straight A's in class and all your classes. And it's like if she ever tells you that you're lazy again, come get me. I don't care if I'm in a meeting. I don't care if I'm talking to the superintendent. Come get me, and I'll come down to her office. I mean, not her office, but her classroom, and I'll fire her right on the spot. And it was like, holy moly! And funny thing about that, a few years later, well, after I graduated, I heard that she did get canned. She went to another school, and after that school, she got canned again. She moved from one. She actually moved out of state too, and I was like, good. And like, no offense to, yeah, you can ask questions.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Jimmy. We greatly appreciate your story, and it's truly amazing in and of itself. So I'll go first to Miss Carla. Carla, what's one of your takeaways or questions that comes up for you with Jimmy's story?
Well, first off, I love your sense of humor.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, how'd you get into fitness? I don't think we
Well,
got to that.
well, I got into fitness because I got because I had a lot of autism meltdowns when I was younger, and I was on medication for uh, let's say my autism meltdowns. And what an autism meltdown is think of it. I used to think it was like an atomic bomb, sort of, but then I was like, nah. It now to me it kind of sounds more like to me, and it's more along the lines of a hurricane, because you have the different categories, category one all the way up to five, and the higher the category is, the higher uh, the higher it is to uh, the more damage it causes, or the more. But for me, it was the more emotions, and I didn't like the medication that I was taking and whatnot, because it just masked my true feelings. So it basically made me like kept my moods in balance, and it just like made me happy all the time. And it's like I want to feel other feelings. I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm super happy and look at me. It just felt like it was all forced. So 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 I got into fitness to one, to lose the weight, to stop the bullies, and two, uh, to help me get off the medication that I was on for my moods and whatnot. So that's how I got into fitness. And then when I got into college, I was going into personal training, but then I jumped to five different majors, now into media studies, to be a well known motivational speaker. So I made everything about fitness and motivation. So it's not just, oh, this is fitness and it's another health and wellness website. So I made it unique and different.
But Jimmy, I have to ask, what made you want to also not only like you just eloquently put out there is that that's the reason why you wanted to get into the health and wellness space, but why did you want to take it into a next level state to where you wanted to do the crazy fitness guy healthy living podcast? How did that show up for you? How did you start that journey into podcasting?
Well, I started when I met my professor, who I really, really like. I'm not going to say names because I don't know. I don't have their permission, but they. But the reason why uh, uh, but uh, when I first met her in one of my, I think it was my mass media studies class. It was all about like social media and whatnot, and uh, when I told her about my goals in life and whatnot, because she was asking me a little bit about what I do, who I was, and uh, she shared with me a few things, and we both related uh, that we were, I mean, had similar interests, etc. She, uh, she kind of like, she became my one of my mentors, and she said to me, "It's like, because this was like right at the beginning of the pandemic." She said to me, "Is like." the way to get your name out there is start podcasting. And it's like, on top of all of what I'm doing so far, you want me to start this podcast. And I was like, oh boy, how am I going to do this? And so I started podcasting to get my name out there. I've been on, as of today, 143 different podcast episodes. I've been featured in New York City Times Square. I've been published in 18 different publications. I've also been uh, recently, my co-authored book that I co-authored 1,200 characters, and comes at the end of December. And so I'm going to be a published author. And then, I mean, more so as a book than just anything I've written on the internet or another website, etc. But then, but I also got into it because nobody, all the stuff that I went through, not counting the ear surgeries and whatnot, but for a school district's lack of kind of compassionate and lack of understanding autism, and I'm not like blaming them for every single nook and cranny, but these guys were they always had these uh, they always brought this person in school. Oh, actually, did they bring them? Well, they always like refer to, they always like learning and whatnot about autism, but these so-called experts who like always think that they know everything about autism, and it's like, these guys are supposed to be experts in some kind of their own fields, and yet they can't seem to interact with me, and I can't interact with them. So it's like, and it's like, I admit it's probably both of our fault, but at the end of the day, I'm the one who was always apologizing, and at the end, when I was done getting close to graduation, I got only one apology from my from the head principal from out of my whole school district. But so basically 8 years of hell. I only got one. Sorry, even though that they they used restraint on me in elementary school, which is illegal in 20 20 states so far. I'm not sure why all 50 hasn't signed on. I guess they're cuckoo over there too, just like my school, but in my school district. But I'm like, really? Why can't? And it's like, I don't blame everybody, but 8 years of hell and I only one apology. Fine.
Well, let me ask you this, Jimmy. Did you ever get in your mind when you got into an age that you just really knew what you knew and knew what you're wanting to do and how you were going to probably go about it? Did you ever get into your mind and you said, "Hey, Jimmy, it's not even worth it. You might as well just do what you have to do just to survive, not to thrive, or not even be a part of something bigger than of yourself." Did you ever thought at any point in time, even to this very day, that you said to yourself, "Hey, it's time for me to hang it up. I'm going to quit. That's it. That's that."
For when I was growing up or as of now?
Anytime.
Well, when I was in public school, I felt like I wanted to quit. There was a few days where it was hard for my parents to get me out of bed because all this stuff was happening. There was days where I was like, I just don't ever want to go to school ever again. After graduating high school, I took 3 years off of school because I hated it so much. But I like being in college now, even though I still find it difficult to navigate my college system. But when I have great professors like that I'm still in touch with today, and their understanding of who I am, what I do. Uh, they don't mind me asking 100 plus questions, and because I'm just trying to grasp the information around of what they're asking me because sometimes I don't understand written directions or because like my parents always described to me uh, always and not saying not trying to offend anybody with a statement or anything, but it's like you gotta write it like you're writing for dummies because like just because it makes sense in your mind it might not make sense in someone else's mind, and because like if somebody writes directions like okay, step A, part B, then it goes step D. How did you get to step D? Where's part C? What happened to A, B, C, and D? It's like you went from A, B, and D. Where's C? I'm confused. Where's C? And and maybe C was written under like combined with B, but your brain didn't necessarily read with what B is. I mean, what C was, so it didn't make any sense.
Well, I love that you're bringing such awareness to autism and what you're doing, and also sharing your journey, because there's a lot of kids that are dealing with it and whatever level they are on the spectrum. And, you talk about it just like you were any other kid. All children have their own strengths and weaknesses. And I'm glad that you fought for support in the education system for you, you know?
I, yeah, and that's why I do what I do today is because I truly believe that everybody should be heard, and like if somebody's getting bullied, they shouldn't just be dismissed like, oh, bullying doesn't exist. And it's like if somebody's come to you for a bullying situation, you should take it as at face value. You shouldn't just like assume, oh, it doesn't exist. And hello, and it's like they come to you for help for a reason, not to annoy the hell out of you.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I love the fact that you were given a boatload of limitations and you chose to prove everybody wrong.
Same. I could. I don't know where I'd be without proving anybody wrong, and I wouldn't be here today without my parents and their help because some parents could just have given up and took in all the took the data's word for word what the data says, like, oh, Jimmy's not going to be able to cook or clean or do anything by himself. I can. My dad taught me how to cook at an early age. I can grill burgers with my eyes closed.
So, Timothy, welcome. How you doing today, sir?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Carla. Nice to
Hey.
meet you, Jimmy.
Nice to meet
I'm
you
doing
too.
okay. Things here have been pretty crazy the last couple of weeks, which is why I've not been available to join you guys. And so my apologies. I've been up all night working on writing projects for the last 2 weeks, and I don't think that's going to change. I've got a lot of stuff I've got to get done before the year end here. And, honestly, it's been kind of a rough road, personally speaking, the last couple of weeks, and won't really go into any of that. Just suffice to say, it's good to be here amongst friends, and I'll just settle into the conversation here what
What,
remains
what,
of it.
what, Timothy? I highly, highly encourage you to reach out to Jimmy, have a great and engaging conversation with him, because he does healthy fitness through the eyes of autism, and his story today has just been truly remarkable in and of itself. So not only is he bringing awareness to a healthy lifestyle, but also he's doing it through that prism of autism because he's been both and everything like that.
Mhm.
So, like I said, just please connect with him. Hello,
James,
James. How you doing?
Okay.
Well, the last time I checked, I'm still above the ground. I'm not pushing up daisies yet.
well, we got our Jimmy, we got our James. It's really not all the same, but somewhat I'm confused.
Yeah,
Check
so am I. The last time I checked, I was confused too. That's not what she told me anyway.
Well, technically, my real name is James, but after being too confused by many teachers in class of James D, James C, James B, and everything else, I was like, just call me Jimmy. I'm tired of this.
You can call me anything you want, but you do not call me late for dinner.
Or Shirley.
But for what I hear, Jimmy's a pretty good cook. So you gotta watch out, James. He might end up surprising you on his burgers.
Yeah, well, he's got to run for his money if he thinks he can make a mean cup of coffee.
I
No,
knew
I
you were
can't
gonna
make
pick that
coffee.
up. I
I
knew
don't
that.
drink coffee.
All right, good deal. So let me ask you, James.
Yeah.
No, Jimmy. I was thinking. See, all right, I'm already confused. There you go. I'm already there. Let me ask you, Jimmy. Did you ever feel in this whole entire journey that you've been on that you felt life was actually happening to you, or did you actually take it and say, you know what? Not only am I going to prove these naysayers wrong, but life is actually going to happen for me?
Unfortunately, back then, I felt like everything was happening to me. And that was only because as a kid, I just felt like this is totally unfair. This is totally annoying. And I just felt like I was just going through the motions through half of it.
So when did you have that turning point that you saw life was happening for you? When was that?
Uh, well, the turning point was when I was in, when I found out that I was autistic. And there was, it might sound kind of silly to some people. It's like, wait, you didn't know you were autistic? Well, when you growing up, my parents never used the word autism around me, and if they did use the word autism, it was when I was out of earshot. I was hanging out with friends or other family members, so I didn't know what was autism. But what got me curious about autism was I mean, it wasn't on the specific date when I was able to go to my own IEP meeting, which stands for Individual Educational Plan. And that meeting was completely useless, by the way. And the reason why it was completely useless was because, I mean, of me actually going to my own meeting, because I was warned by a teacher, one of my case manager at the time, said, even though that you can go into your own meeting, you're not allowed to talk in your own meeting. I'm like, pardon me, excuse me, this meeting is about me, right? And she's like, yeah, but there's, let's just say, some of these old timers here, and like they like it their way or the highway. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. So I literally sat down at the head of the table and watched two sides arguing back and forth, and it's like, holy crap, I must be watching a political debate. And it's like,
There's that sense of humor again.
yeah, it just comes naturally. And so it just so but basically when I learned about being autistic was when I was in college. I started exploring like, what is autism, and started just and so then I asked my mom, my dad, just family members, and it's like, did you know I was autistic? And they told me, it's like, yeah, we knew you were autistic, but I didn't care. We didn't care. We didn't treat you any different. And so I was glad that they didn't tell me that I was artistic, because I didn't know how I would react. I don't think I would have taken it with where I've taken it today, and to be who I am today if I didn't accept it.
So, James, I know you just got into the tail end of Jimmy's story, but I want to hear from you, since you have worked with people in the janitorial field.
Yep.
how can you relate to what Jimmy has gone through? How do you seen that, especially we're working with those kind of people that is on the autism spectrum, especially in the janitorial field?
You mean like in the educational system?
Well, I'm going to start off by saying that I have a mild form of cerebral palsy. You wouldn't know it. And, I was in a lot of special education classes and everything. It took, if I had to describe it, it took more courage and strength to prove to myself that I could do the custodial work. Because what they do is they start you out as junior janitor, and I don't particularly care for that word. Um, and I was a floater for many years, and leading up to this, what I would do is I would go in and I would work one on one with the special education kids and let them do some of the work that we do, and let them, you know, bring packages up to where they needed to go. And I'd let them, you know, walk with me and just the experience what what goes on. And from there, you know, I became senior custodian. And now, if you've never been in the custodial field, Jimmy, I'm going to tell you what, that is one hell of a job. And it's going to either make you or break you. And it broke me. Why did it break me? Because I got struck with positional vertigo in 2019 from the years of exposure to the harsh chemicals that we were using. But with that said, 4 kids at that time went on to become custodians because I believed that they could do it. They could do the work that we did. It might take them a little bit more time to learn the things that we did, but I'll be damned if anyone can look me in the eyes and say no special education kid can do this. And I will turn around and I will say, you know what? That's bullshit. Because let me tell you what, I'm a living proof that anybody can do this. It might take you more time. It might take you more learning to do it, but you can do it. You just got to know your chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I can say um, I can wouldn't say I don't want to say I can relate to you, Jimmy, because I don't know what it's like to have autism, but I do know what it's like to have a disability. So that's where that stands.
That you've both turned into abilities.
Yep.
Yep. Yes. Well said, Carla. Well said. And I truly believe everyone can do anything they set their mind to. They really can. And but yet, if we can be aware of what can be possible, or what we don't know now, but we should know down the road, it's like you just said, James. It might take us a little time. It might take us a little longer. It might take us an extra step or two, but that's okay. There's no right way or wrong way in learning. This what works best for you. And when people really realize that, I truly believe that not only our leaders in businesses today will really become better leaders, but also our communities will be far more engaging and far more significant, because when they see that too as well in their own communities of the people who are doing these great work. I mean, look what Jimmy has gone through, and like you, James, look what you've gone through. You've not only proved those naysayers wrong, but you know what you said, I'm going to keep going forward. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what people say. I am going to do this. And then I truly believe when you get to the kind of tipping point of your life and you really say, hey, I've done all these things, and then you come back and say, well, I got more to do. I think that is a beautiful thing that we can do to say, hey, I am still not done yet. I still have a long way to go.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
So let's get to our final thoughts and call to action today. So I'll start with you, Miss Carla. What say you on Jimmy's story today?
You only have a disability if you choose to wear that label.
Ooh, that is a good one. That is a good one.
I don't care whether it's something you're born with or whether it's something that you acquire later on in life. You only have a disability if you choose to use it and wear it.
Put that on a cardboard box and print it out. There you go, from Carla. Yes, I love it. James, what say you?
And I'm going to add a little bit to Carla. In my eyes, the meaning of a disabled person is somebody that looks down on the person who has an ability, someone that makes fun of the person that has an ability, someone that, you know, looks down on them and says, you can't do this, you won't do this, you're not going to make it. Really? Who's the disabled one now?
Right. And sneering
What
while
say
they
you?
say it.
That is so true, James. That is so true. Your final thoughts and your call to action, Timothy?
You know what? I don't have a disability. I have a this ability. I'm not disempowered. I have a superpower. And everything that people have told me is a reason why I haven't gotten to where they say I should be is a matter of confusion and delusion in that world that they live in, not in the world that I live in. You know, we are connected to the purpose that we were born to fulfill. And we were created by our creator with that purpose to fulfill it. We were given the conditions of our physiology and of our neurology as a purpose and as a tool to help us do what our creator created us to do. And all of these labels that people put on us about, oh, you have a disability, or you have a this, or you have a that, is all marketing and promotions, and it sells a lot of services and products to people who might very well just turn out to be fine if only people would just be willing to give them a hug in the morning and say, hey, did you have a good night's sleep? What are you going to do today? I love you. That might be all it's required for most people to establish a more or less baseline happy physiology. You know, and you know, unfortunately, I think in most families we completely neglect the need to do that, even to ourselves in the mirror, let alone with our family. So my belief is that we all have the superpower of using whatever that label is to get what we need in our lives done, and it enables us and it empowers us. And I'll land by chariot of the gods.
Thank you so much, Timothy. So I'll go to you, Jimmy. What would be your final thoughts and your call to action to our viewers today or listening in from around the world? What the one thing or a couple of things that you would say to people today?
There's nothing wrong with being different. Everyone's different. No one's exactly the same. And for those who put limitations on us, shame on you. Uh, and just because the data shows one thing doesn't mean we can't learn later on. The one thing that the people who look at the data get wrong is that, I mean, one thing that the system that needs to that they get the data from, they need to follow up years later to ask you whether or not if you have learned what what you didn't know at the time of being diagnosed or whatnot. Because because one of the things that they told me I wouldn't be able to do was cook and clean and whatnot. I can clean pretty well. My room is pretty clean. I dust my desk off like every other week, and then I Swiffer my room because it's all wood floors, and I do my own laundry, and I don't cook for myself every single night because I still live with my parents, and so I make the extra mess. So, uh, but but on the nights when they're not home because they're out to dinner by themselves or they're on a vacation and I didn't get invited, I cook for myself, and so it is like don't put limitations on other people.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. We greatly appreciate you being a part of our great and growing community and movement that is bringing humanity together. And we're just so humbled and honored by your story again today. My final thoughts and call to action to everyone today from Jimmy's story is simply this: believe in yourself, believe that you can do anything you set your mind to, and have that hope and faith that when that hope and faith come knock on your door, you're willing to answer that call, that you are willing to keep moving forward no matter how life throws things at you, and say, maybe, you know what, I'm not going to look at life happening to me. I'm going to look at life happening for me, because everything in life is not only a teachable moment, but it's also a gift in and of itself. And that's the way I view life. And I truly believe we can all do that if we just allow that to occur. So, again, Jimmy, thank you so much. Carla, thank you so much. James and Timothy, we greatly appreciate you guys. We'll see each other tomorrow on Humanity Happy Hour. Love to hear from more of you guys moving forward. So you guys have a great and awesome day. Make it your day. And remember, our LinkedIn community audio call will be this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So from all of us here bringing humanity together, have a great day. Make your day. And we'll see you tomorrow on Humanity Happy Hour. Have a great day, everyone.
So
Thank
yeah,
you,
Thank you.
Jimmy.
thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.